Now, Rosy Mondin joins us, and you are associated in the industry not only from a legal perspective, education, you name it. Tell me how you got involved and when.
So officially I got involved in 2013. I have a background in regulatory and corporate law. I know a lot of growers in the industry, the MMAR growers, the personal producers,
Right.
and a lot of them were wanting to transition into the legalized commercialized framework, which at that time was known as the MMPR. And within about 3 months, I must have had about 12 different growers contact me. They either wanted regulatory help on their application, they wanted legal help with the company, or have me come on as an advisor, have me come on as in-house counsel, whatever it was. And I just basically saw an opportunity. I thought, well, this is probably the time to jump in now.
Right.
And so I gathered a couple of my business partners that I was working with on different projects, and I said, you know, now is the time. They were both involved in different aspects of the industry, and I said, this is the time to actually, we should do this as a true viable business.
So we've talked and we've covered extensively on the show quite a bit about stigma, but I'm curious in your community how that's evolved over the past few years, because it's quite something.
So even being here in BC, where the environment is very robust, we have a very mature cannabis industry here in British Columbia. It's actually quite amazing on how much stigma there exists here.
Right.
So if you look at Vancouver, BC being as the hotbed of cannabis industry, you go outside of British Columbia and it surely starts getting colder. So it's one thing, we are already having to educate politicians and bureaucrats here in British Columbia.
Right.
Well, that extends across Canada. So I find a lot of the speaking engagements that I do, even though I'm talking about the advocacy that I might do through our industry association, the Cannabis Trade Alliance of Canada, or through our company that does the extraction equipment manufacturing, is Quadron Cannatech. It's all teaching people about the plant, about the product, what can be created by this product, and then just the regulatory hurdles that we have to overcome in order to make a viable business out of this.
And you know, we were talking before based on that stigma and that approach where it's the only industry where, you know, maybe somebody has a parent or a grandparent or somebody that's lacking sleep or somebody suffering from anxiety. It really does cover all specters. So how do you include those people within the advocacy space to educate them within the public?
Well, I think it's just talking to people and normalizing it. And again, just saying, you know, these really are middle-class Canadians. I think everyone has the idea that it's these bros that are downstairs in their basements with these big puffs of smoke. And we're really getting away from that, especially, well, I'm in the extract side of the business, and we look at the trends that's happening, and we have a lot of new users coming in to try this
product. And they don't want to smoke.
They don't want to smoke, right? And I mean, there's purists and those of us who really do still enjoy the joint, but at the end of the day, it's stinky and smoky and non-discreet. So coming to things like vape pens, vaporization pens, capsules, it definitely makes it a lot easier and a lot more tenable for people to take it, especially when they're consuming for the first time. So it's easy to take, it's discreet, and it's lower dosed as well. So you're not getting these big hits and blowing your mind out.
So you talked about the evolution, that it's not just flour anymore, it's not just oil anymore. Let's talk about that extraction process, what you're representing with extraction, how that technology takes place, what it's used for. Let's break it down for the audience that might not know it.
Sure. Well, I think if you look at the product, just as the plant itself, you have the plant, which some people do consume it in a raw form where they juice it, be it for cancer or other ailments. And then there's the dry bud that everyone that we know about that you smoke, right? BC bud,
of course,
marijuana, roll it into joints. But then you have everything else that's derived from cannabis, and that's based in oils and the concentrate that's pulled out of the plant. So if we look at consumption data coming out of the US and they import those trends to Canada, the prediction is in about 4 years we're going to see 198,000% increase in the use of oil-based products and 1,600% increase in the use of smoking dried flower, which will be in the form of pre-rolled joints, because it's easier. People don't know how to roll joints. I mean, I know people who've been smoking for 20 years and still can't roll a joint, right? So if you look at the oils, and you look at products that are derived from oils. Now we're talking about tinctures, we're talking about creams, balms, topicals, eye drops, the vaporization pens, capsules, suppositories, which are really have great efficacy for medicinal purposes. Bypasses the liver, you don't get high, so you can have a high THC product and not feel the effects. So and drinks as well that'll be infused.
The whole consumer market is fascinating.
So all of that needs to be created and developed. So that's where it's going to be going, and those are the easily ingestible and easy for people to take as opposed to smoking that joint.
So how do we ensure access and quality to patients, users, medicinal users, whoever may want this product?
So access has been created through the courts. So as we move towards legalization, we'll have retail outlets that people can go to. Medicinally, however that looks, whether it's through pharmacies or stand-up shops that have a pharmacist on staff. But I think the main thing is really understanding that we need the research now to back up all the anecdotal evidence that we have from people consuming this product for 20, 30, 40 years. So what we'll see now is more research coming into play. We need to have standardization of the processes, not only to grow the plant, but also to extract the oil out of that plant.
Right.
So all the processes that go through that to pull the oil out, but then also to formulate. Just kind of if you think about the perfume business,
of course,
where you have all your botanicals and then it's all blended together to create your final product. That's what's happening with cannabis as well. That's where it's going to be going to. So creating
with
formulation,
a still pure product.
Still your pure product. And creating your formulations. One of the best examples I can give too is if you go to the liquor store and you want to buy some wine, you go to that brand because you know that brand delivers you a good quality, consistent product. Whether that vintner is growing his own grapes or he knows how to source the most excellent grapes, to the consumer it doesn't matter. You just know that that brand is delivering a good product. That's where we're going to get to with cannabis. When more of the science comes in, the standardization again of this, so again being able to create a consistent product that's delivered in the same manner each and every time, then that gives the consumer comfort of what they're taking, that they know it's all tested, and testing is all part of that as well.
And we all want a little bit of security when it comes to the things that we're putting into our body, obviously.
Into our body, yeah, absolutely.
You were talking a little bit before about the educational programs that you're offering. We've got about 2 minutes left. Run me through that. What are you offering in terms of this education?
Well, it's not programs per se. I do a lot of advocacy with the federal government. I've also been working with the provincial government. I get invited to speak at just different events, whether it's public company events, whether it's events. I was out in Cape Breton, the Cape Breton Partnership, just was wanting to teach, their constituents about what's happening with legalization. So every time I have a chance to talk, even talking to you, it's education. And that's and only by educating do we overcome the stigmas from days past as we move forward to build this industry. Because at the end of the day, we are building an industry. We've got a very robust underground or a pre-regulated, under-regulated industry,
gray, whatever we
want to call it. But moving forward, if you think about any other industry that exists, it's supplied by lawyers, accountants, engineering, everything, banking. I mean, banking we can barely get in this industry right now. So that all has to be built. So there's so many opportunities. So part of the education is just letting people know where you can come in to work in this industry, because the opportunities are phenomenal.
I love it. Well, listen, education. Rosy, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
We've got a little bit of fog, but the weather's improving, right?
Yeah, it will be.